Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week 10. Sigmund Bloom here, flying solo. Chris Allen on assignment. I'll try to get turn this one into kind of a lightning round. And always, folks, you let me know, give me any feedback I can use or we can use to help you on Sunday mornings. We have a game going on right now in Germany. NFL expanding frontiers and horizons, and it's a boring game so far. Tampa Bay with Akeem Hicks back, really holding down Kenneth Walker. We'll see as this game unfolds, the outcome and the fantasy results in this game. And of course, the Carolina-Atlanta game. Did you play Cordero Patterson? Were you facing Dante Foreman? Did you play DJ Moore? That should always inform your decisions to know whether you need to go big or you need to take those safe plays. So thanks as always, everybody. Y'all are fantastic, showing out even before we start this live stream on Sunday mornings. So let's get right to it. Oh, big question right here from Dave Malone. Risky Josh Allen or Tua? It's got to be Tua Tagovailoa. By the way, on that Miami game, Teddy Bridgewater is sitting with a chronic knee issue that flared up. Skylar Thompson, the backup there, just something to keep track of in your super flex leagues, because that Miami passing situation seems to be very good, at least when it was Bridgewater. So my outlook for Josh Allen is not much in the passing game, but a pretty good outcome for running the ball. And quarterback's pretty brutal. I think the break point of where you're really weighing Josh Allen today is if it's against, say, a Dak Prescott. I think that the Jimmy Garoppolo, Daniel Jones, who has a pretty similar outlook to Josh Allen, at least statistically today. And look, Josh Allen is still a top 10 quarterback, but Jacoby Brissett, this is about the break point for Josh Allen. Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, definitely above him. 8-0-220, a PPR league deciding between Debo and Godwin flex. Well, this one a little bit late. Probably still would have went with Debo. With Chris Godwin, there's some news he's not really 100%, and we're seeing he's not that explosive. Yes, you get those cheap PPR points. Debo is more likely to get you a big play tonight in that game between the Niners and the Chargers. Greg asked, does Arizona defense become less appealing if Kyler doesn't go? Yeah, it's a little bit less appealing, but this is a team that had, I think, 4 pick sixes in the last 5 weeks or 4 defensive touchdowns. Kansas City's defense is pretty good against Jacksonville, too. A little superstitious. I'd probably just go with Arizona, likely to see John Wolford. Of course, that game could also just be an offensive and defensive nightmare, 9-6 kind of game. Not going to talk you out of Kansas City, because if Jacksonville falls behind, then Trevor Lawrence might not be as efficient or safe with the ball. All right. Moving right along. And we had Iamion's cat ask me this one of Gino or Allen. That would have been Josh Allen, probably. I had those guys really very close. Dane, must win. Allen Robinson or Khalif Raymond. Got to go with Khalif Raymond here. Detroit, Chicago might be the highest scoring game of the day. At least the way if these trends hold for these offenses and defenses. So tiebreaker in favor of that game. All right, moving right along. Mooney or Palmer? Barry Hickett here. So you have, I think, with Darnell Mooney, a higher ceiling because of his ability to make some big plays with Justin Fields, Detroit. With Palmer, you have a higher floor. Now, I am a little worried that the targets are going to be there for Palmer with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams tonight. Palmer draws Charvarius Ward, or otherwise, if Justin Herbert, with the San Francisco defense coming out of a bye, if Justin Herbert is really frustrated, then Palmer might not be a good play. There's still potential for garbage time there. A half-point PPR puts me more towards Mooney on the big play. If it was a PPR, then Palmer's floor might be a little higher. Andrew Goodman, 0.5 PPR, sad flex choices. We're all making a lot of sad choices this year, fantasy football. Andrew, A.J. Dillon, Khalil Herbert, Rashad White, who, by the way, got the ceremonial start. We'll see if that means anything. Gerald Everett or Wan'Dale Robinson. I think it's Khalil Herbert. And again, it's that Chicago-Detroit game. Herbert, we've seen, even if he only gets 25% of the snaps, he can get touches on 75% of those snaps. Make your week. Go with Khalil Herbert. Right. Andy Ray Nelson. Do I stash Jalen Warren or Kyron Williams on my bench in full PPR? Blah, blah. Neither one of these offenses are going to create overachievers from here on out. However, with the PPR in play, Kyron Williams could get some more dump offs. Jalen Warren has some momentum. Najee Harris isn't going to go away. I will say that Jalen Warren simply because I think Warren has more chance to increase his value today. Neither of them are that exciting or could change your season. I'm not going to talk you out of Kyron Williams, but I think that Warren has a better chance of having his value appreciate today. Maybe Williams has a little higher horizon value 2-3 weeks down the line. Start Fields over Josh Allen MSH. Yeah, I think that's a yes. I think Fields and Tua got to be in this week over Josh Allen. And hey, if Josh Allen goes off on your bench, then that's still a good thing to have happen. All right. Justin Haynes asks Greg Dulcich, Cortland Sutton, Wan'Dale Robinson, 0.5 PPR. He points out that all Sutton's games have been since Dulcich came in. Part of me wants to play this one by the book and say you play Cortland Sutton because he's Cortland Sutton. Maybe something comes better out of the bye. This game against Tennessee, you would hope that Denver's going to pass a lot more, but that also helps Dulcich. So looking at this, I think that the by the book play is Sutton with his just long-term track record and big playability. However, there is an argument for Dulcich because Dulcich has been outscoring him. We're almost overthinking this, and it's the history of Sutton that makes me think go Sutton here. But I understand if you say forget history, I just want recent history. That's Greg Dulcich. All right, folks. Moving right along, River 74 in a standard non-PPR league flex, Dulcich, AJ Dillon, or Adam Thielen. Kind of rhymes there. Oh, AJ Dillon. Oh, AJ Dillon. It's Dallas. And yes, you would hope that Green Bay gets back to what they did against Buffalo and runs the ball a lot more. And it is a standard league, so touchdowns are king here. Although Dillon had a chance to score some touchdowns last week and couldn't do it. Touchdowns, maybe that sounds like Adam Thielen, although we are seeing a bigger role for TJ Hawkinson. I would probably go with Thielen there. Dulcich, again, touchdowns are king here, and I think Thielen is your best chance at one of those today. Fields or Tua, good problem to have, right? Who would think that if you had Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa, both going outside of the top 12 quarterbacks, you'd have two this week, top 5 quarterbacks. And I think that this is going to be a standard answer going forward. Fields is going to give you more upside. Tua is going to give you a higher floor. I think that scoring system matters here. If you're in if you're in 5 points per pass touchdown, 6 points per pass touchdown, distance bonuses for pass touchdowns, 300-yard passing game bonuses, that's Tua. If it's 4 points for a pass touchdown, point per 25 passing yards, 20 versus 25 passing yards, all these different things you need to look at. Then that leans it more to Fields. In a vacuum without knowing anything about your league, I love upside. I'm going to go with Justin Fields. How's everybody out there? I hope this format is not too mind-boggling, but I want to get as many questions as I can. And, well, there's nobody here to slow me down, so we're going to keep rolling here. Shake and bake, 145. Staring down a team with A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill need upside. Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins are Kadarius Toney. I think that's Curtis Samuel. And you have a limiting factor here with the Philly defense, but also Avonte Maddox is going to be out. That's a slot corner. And with James Bradbury, Darius Slay, I'm not saying to bench Terry McLaurin might not be as good of a Terry McLaurin game. You might see a lot of targets funneled to the middle of the field to Curtis Samuel. Matt Collins is interesting with Hunter Renfrow out, but I still think that you're going to see Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. The only plays you can really trust here. Desperation play for Bruce Jacobs and Kyron Williams, Nyheim Hines, Chase Edmonds. I think it's Nyheim Hines just because of the short passing game in Buffalo, but they should emphasize it more. Maybe they get Hines worked in there more, but it is just a desperation play. ESM 1957. George Pickens, Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, or mandatory David Montgomery as flex in a PPR. I think it's Aaron Jones. Just play it by the book here. You know that he's going to be one of, and it's a little bit banged up, but he's been practicing. You know he's going to be one of Aaron Rodgers' main targets. You know he has touchdown upside, multi-touchdown upside. I think that's the call here. Pickens is interesting. Gibson would be more interesting in a matchup that isn't Philadelphia. Pickens we'll see without Claypool out there, how the targets go. Against the Saints, I think Pat Fryermuth is going to be the biggest winner there. All right. Hokey. This seems crazy. Oh, playing fantasy football this year makes you crazy. Justin Herbert, Jacoby Brissett. I'm going Jacoby Brissett here. Why am I going Jacoby Brissett? Look, Brissett could be a real disappointment this week if Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the running game control this game, and if Cleveland's defense with Denzel Ward back can slow down Miami's pass offense. If not, Jacoby's going to have to throw more. He's been very efficient. Miami's defense has not been good, been getting into a lot of shootouts. Justin Herbert, without Mike Williams, without Keenan Allen, it's not been so good for fantasy, and you're not going to hold that against him. Again, San Francisco's defense coming out of the bye. I'm going with Brissett here. It's close. They're my number 10 and 12 ranked quarterbacks. Will Coach McCarthy wear a "Do You Miss Me" sweatshirt to Lambeau? Yeah, that's an interesting angle here. Maybe that's where Aaron Rodgers gets some extra motivation. Donk Crypto. Pick 2, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Smith, Gabe Davis. I know 2 Broncos wide receivers. Yuck. I think Jeudy has the momentum right now over Sutton, so he's in. And Devontae Smith, you may get 2 catches for 23 yards. You may get 8 catches for 150 yards. So I would go ahead and take my chances with Smith, leave Sutton, and Gabe Davis with Josh Allen. I know they say he can't. I'm expecting Josh Allen to start, as we've been talking about him. I don't think you're going to see him air it out a lot. I think that's enough to put Gabe Davis on your bench. McMahon can ask Gabe Davis or George Pickens. That's George Pickens again. We're staying away from Davis today. And hey, if Davis goes off, that's great for Josh Allen. It's great for Davis. And we will see what's happening, everybody. Jimmy Evans asked Pickens, Sutton, or Herbert in the flex PPR. Herbert could end up being the right answer here. I'm not going to talk you out of Herbert. I am going to probably talk you out of Sutton, who doesn't have momentum. I think Pickens is the safer play here, likely to get 5 or 6 catches in any scenario. We'll see if he and Kenny Pickett can get anything going here coming out of the bye. All right, everybody. Mo, what's up, Mo? Love you people, man. I want to say in this moment, as I'm flying through these answers, that it's always inspiring the way they all come out and encourage us and keep us company. I get paid for something that I need for my mental well-being, acknowledgement, and praise, and enjoyable interactions with y'all, and a lot of enjoyable interactions with Mo. Kyler looking pessimistic. So look, you got to project Colt McCoy versus John Wolford in this game coming up this afternoon. It's going to be a stinker, at least for fantasy. Are you less inclined to start Ertz as Dulcich, someone you consider over him? Yeah, I'd consider Dulcich over him, although Colt McCoy, between the two backup quarterbacks, Colt McCoy, even last year, has a track record of keeping this passing game pretty robust. And you might even see some things work that you don't see with Kyler Murray, because Colt McCoy is going to have a process. Colt McCoy is going to actually play within the structure of the plays. John Wolford, I think we've seen, it was already a limited Rams offense to begin with. You add in John Wolford, I don't think that's going to unlock much for the passing game, at least. So I'm a little less concerned about Ertz and Hopkins than I would be about, well, anyone except Cooper Kupp. And I think you got to leave Cooper Kupp in. When it comes right down to it, this question that Mo had, my man Mo, if I had to choose, it was my lineup and it was Zach Ertz or Dulcich, I'd still probably go with Zach Ertz. But I understand why you have some hesitation there. I'm not going to talk you out of Dulcich. Pollard over Hopkins now that Murray appears to be out. Yeah. And it looks like Ezekiel Elliott's not going to play, or at least they're making a lot of equivocation. You're hearing, well, they're going to test it. If anything's wrong, if there's anything that's not right, then Zeke's going to sit. Boy, that sure sounds like they're preparing us for Zeke to sit. And I think Pollard is one of those guys. You've been warned, right? 3 touchdowns when Zeke sat. Even if Zeke plays, he might not have his typical role in this game. All right. Dan Matichero. Looks like Kyler's out. Heineke, Brissett, Keenum. If Allen sits or Pickett, that's Brissett. Again, I've given my reasoning on why I like Brissett, or at least like his ceiling this week. Rondale Moore versus Michael Gallup, PPR. Dave's not here. Ugh. I wonder if this Odell Beckham talk, I just as an aside, since you brought up Michael Gallup, We're going to talk about Odell Beckham on the waiver wire next week for sure. I think the Cowboys have to be the odds-on favorite to get him, and I really wonder if Beckham's just going to step right in for Gallup, and Gallup's going to become the number 3 receiver because he's just not 100% yet. And what can Beckham bring to this offense? All that being said, you have Rondale against Gallup today. Gallup up in Green Bay. Rondale with Colt McCoy. McCoy is more of a pop gun arm dink and dunk passer. Probably stick with Rondale here simply because he's done something more recently that we wish we had in our lineup. All right. How's everyone doing out there? Mo had an IDP question. Yes, IDP fantasy football is awesome. Yes, it's going to get you to understand the defensive side of the ball and all the wonderful cast of characters on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm going to answer this one. Wednesdays, by the way, Wednesday afternoons, do the IDP Blitz here on the YouTube channel. It releases as a podcast. And the IDP coverage at Football Guys is second to none. Drew Tranquil, who got run over by Cordero Patterson. That was beautiful. Fred Warner, Josie Jules with Ryan Tannehill starting to pick 2. I'm still going to go with Tranquil and Warner just because I think they're better players than Jewel. And that's one of the things about IDP fantasy football that can get you thrown off. I mean, Jewel could collect a lot of tackles with Derrick Henry running up the middle a lot, but I'm going to try for some big plays. Warner is definitely in there. Dollar Bill, DDB, Gabe Davis, George Pickens, or Cortland Sutton in the flex. That's George Pickens. That one's pretty simple just because Sutton has no momentum. Gabe Davis with a limited. Josh Allen. And Ronnie Daniel asks if Cup is a must start of Stafford's. I think it's still Cup because so much in that offense is designed to get him open. All right, folks. Waffles asks, "Are we starting Brandon Cooks only if you have no other?" I'm starting Khalif Raymond over Brandon Cooks today. Okay, Brandon Cooks is just all bad vibes there. Adam P. asked, "Good to start Allen over Daniel Jones." It's a similar outlook, right? Limited passing stats, upside as a runner. I'll take Allen and his experience over Daniel Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if coming out of the bye, though, against Houston, that we see the Giants unveil a few new wrinkles. I'm not going to talk you out of Daniel Jones over Josh Allen. Are we still starting Hopkins? Alexander asks. We still starting Hopkins over Palmer or Kirk? I think Hopkins over Palmer. Again, I have some concerns about the Chargers offense as a whole tonight against San Francisco. But Christian Kirk against San Fran, you certainly think that Jacksonville's going to have to pass a lot of things in that pass offense, much like Christian Kirk, Cooper Kupp, same initials, right? Christian Kirk doesn't get the explosive plays that Cooper Kupp does, but you know that when their pass offense is working the way they want it to, both of those guys get a lot of targets. So I'll probably still go Nuke over Palmer, but not over Kirk. Good morning, Will C. He wants to know who he flexes. Deontay Johnson, Devin Singletary, Khalil Herbert. I think it's Johnson, assuming a PPR. Again, with Chase Claypool traded on to the Chicago Bears. 6-7 catches seems like a standard output for Johnson, for George Pickens, and for Pat Freiermuth. Again, Freiermuth, the biggest one there. I wouldn't be surprised if Devin Singletary has a good game today because Buffalo's going to have a more balanced offense. Khalil Herbert has a high ceiling. He may end up being the right answer. I'm not going to talk folks out of playing Khalil Herbert, but it was my choice. It would be Deontay Johnson. Wendy J asked 0.5 PPR start Allen or Fields. Again, Fields and Tua Tagovailoa have shown me enough over the last few weeks. I like their matchups enough that I am going with them over Josh Allen today. All right, moving right along. And thanks everybody for the kind words. Famous Mockingbird. A mockingbird climbed the mountain. Fields or Hurts? That's Hurts. Come on. And I like Fields. I wouldn't be surprised if Fields outscores him, and it is Fields against Detroit. So there's a lot of good arguments for Justin Fields, but Jalen Hurts he's just earned that in your lineup every week. He hasn't had the ceiling game as recently as Justin Fields. And maybe the trends the last 2-3 weeks here point to Fields, but if I've got Hurts, I'm playing Hurts. Also, by the way, Famous Mockingbird, while I've got you, I would be trying to trade one of those guys. And I went back down on Fields' price. Whichever one you can get more for, which should be Hurts, I would be trying to trade one of those guys. All right, folks. How's everyone doing out there? This is nice. It's nice. Let's go back. We're making it well. I may get to answer everyone's question like it was back in the day. Donk Crypto, Kareem Hunt or Raheem Mostert? Feels like Raheem Mostert's running out of gas. I mean, his fantasy value is running out of gas. If Jeff Wilson were to get hurt, then Mostert would have some run. But I think Mostert is probably behind Wilson. He's not the passing game back Wilson is. He's not the goal line back Wilson is. He's not as durable as Wilson, or at least hasn't proven to be as durable. Kareem Hunt is an interesting play if you think that Miami's going to jump out on Cleveland today, and there's going to be a lot of passing by Jacoby Brissett. Hunt could rack up some PPR points. That's enough for me. Hunt has a better chance at a touchdown, and he doesn't have the negative momentum that Mostert has. PCS as a two or Fields again. I'm going with Fields in a vacuum, but if your scoring system emphasizes passing stats, the answer might be Tua. Matthew Stanko, the second person asked about the hat. By the way, not getting any kind of endorsement for this. This one's from Sneaker Politics here in New Orleans, and it is a Doc Ellis monumental moment hat. See, there's the 17 for Doc Ellis. I'm gonna have to wind and Sneaker Politics is a wonderful outfit. I just, if I could bankroll a wardrobe, not that I care that much about my fashion choices, it would be Sneaker Politics. I've got a shirt that goes with the hat. I mean, there's a whole Doc Ellis wardrobe cottage industry out there. I got to get some more. I got to get my Tripsburg jersey. Andy Dalton or Josh Allen? Matthew Stanko asks. I'm worried about Josh Allen. I'm not that worried. You know, Andy Dalton, the Steelers, they like to pick on Andy Dalton. Dalton can have a solid day. Allen, just with his rushing has more upside. He does point out 6-point passing touchdown scoring. Andy Dalton could well outscore Josh Allen today. I'm going to stick with Josh Allen. All right, let's go on. Big Money Joe, 12 team PPR, Nuke Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Josh Palmer, Darnell Mooney, Cortland Sutton need 3. And again, I think that Sutton is in that square in the zone where we're leaving him on our bench and hoping he goes off on our bench. Whoever reason, maybe take him off our bench. Palmer in, Nuke in, Mooney in, Dave Davis. Again, Gabe Davis with 1. Josh Allen, not sure about him. So, simplest way to answer Big Money Joe, Davis and Sutton on your bench. Ryan Skelly, Marquez Valdez, Scantling, or Brian Robinson and Stanford. The puke emoji. I get it. And I think it's, you hope that Valdez Scantling hits on a deep pass from 1 Patrick Mahomes. Adding in more pointless suspense here, because I think I'm going to catch up and get to all these questions. And then what are we going to talk about? I already gave you the spiel about my hat. Diego Lopez, what's up, Diego? You starting Carr over Kyler if Kyler's active too, Galaxy Brained. What if Kyler's active? It is the Rams. It is a Rams team that Kyler has gone 1-6 against. In the last 2 games he lost, he threw the ball 49 and 58 times, something like that. I'm not saying he's going to do that again. I don't think this game is going to be, it's going to be offensive. Ha ha ha. Carr against Indy is not exactly that exciting either. But I just think with Kyler and a hamstring and a running mobile quarterback, you've been warned. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he'll play a series. Maybe he'll play the whole game. Maybe the hamstring won't be a big deal. That's a lot of maybes. I know that Carr was a dud a couple weeks ago, but you still have Devontae Adams in your lineup. You still have a Colts team that might be in disarray. Go with Carr. Aaron Rose, 0.5 PPR, Gabe Davis, or Devontae Smith. Again, with Josh Allen, and these are some things, and we're always guessing, folks. I like to call us fake fortune tellers. But when we have verifiable information, you know, Josh Allen is not healthy. His arm, the stuff that holds his elbow together, is not 100%. Then I think we go with Devontae Smith. We roll the dice and see what happens. Ladd, Justin Herbert, or Andy Dalton. And remember with Andy Dalton, another thing that's a little bit of a drag on his fantasy stats is Taysom Hill getting some snaps as the quarterback, maybe especially in the red zone. Andy Dalton and his history in Pittsburgh. I'm still going with Justin Herbert, even though my outlook for him is a little bit dim. All right, folks. Moving right along. Waffles. And by the way, why do we love waffles? Because the avatar's pancakes. Darrell Henderson or Brian Robinson? Well, look, Brian Robinson's playing Philly tomorrow night. Brian Robinson's not Damian Pierce. I know Damian Pierce had a good game against Philadelphia on Thursday night. I don't know if I count on that happening for Brian Robinson. He's just not that. I love his story, just not that talented of a back. Daryl Henderson, begrudgingly, the Rams give him 12 touches or 15 touches. He's most likely to do something with them of anyone in that backfield. I'm going with Daryl Henderson. Bryce Long. Oh, man. Oh. Kadarius Toney or Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is a better bet to get 6 points. Okay, Michael Gallup is a better bet to get 8 points. Kadarius Toney, the interesting thing here with him and with Sky Moore, but more Toney than Moore, because Moore has had some opportunities, and I just think that the Chiefs aren't trusting him. I see Kadarius Toney with McCole Hardman out, and this is why we're even talking about Kadarius Toney today, because McCole Hardman was playing. Kadarius Toney would maybe ramp up to 3 or 4 touches in this game, I think. Now, Kadarius Toney is the kind of player that, number one, can turn one of those touches into a week-making play. And he's the kind of player that can maybe change things in game. And if he's hot, remember, he can also do some things in the backfield. Jerick McKinnon's a little banged up too. Let's go with Kadarius Toney. Let's see what happens. Bryce Long. Sully. Rank these guys for week 10, James Conner, Jeff Wilson, Devontae Smith. I think Wilson's got to be first. You see how well he fit in this offense. This is a great offense, Miami. And Wilson can contribute in a lot of different ways, especially in the red zone, the passing game. James Conner, I did bump up in my projections when Kyler Murray was announced as very unlikely to play. Maybe unlikely. The very is my editorial addition, okay? What you will hopefully see for Conner's sake is a more balanced offense. Now, Arizona cannot establish the run. However, you give James Conner 14, 15, 16 carries, he's going to get you to 50 yards. He is a solid check down receiver. Colt McCoy is going to be safe with the ball. Colt McCoy, he can get this team into a touchdown drive or two, and it means a lot more likely that James Conner is going to finish that with Kyler Murray not out there. So I think that it's Wilson, Conner, Devontae Smith third, even though Devontae Smith has the highest ceiling, especially if this is a PPR league. So again, you're going to get some results coming in from this early game in Germany. You're going to get you got some results already from Carolina and Atlanta. Let that inform you whether you need Smith's ceiling or Conner's floor, but I think Wilson's got to be in. Francisco Baltazar, Sutton versus Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think it's Donovan Peoples-Jones. Folks, look back at Donovan Peoples-Jones's game log in PPR leagues. He's in that 10 to 12 point range almost every single week. And again, if Miami can jump out to a lead here and Jacoby Brissett has to air it out, that could be very good for Peoples-Jones. All right. Donkashane, baby Donkashane. Max Absher, ride with Jimmy G instead of Kyler the rest of the season? No. It's notice, by the way, this is a theme with Kyler. Sometime in the second half of the season, he's going to either miss time or be limited. Kyler is the kind of player that when he's been on the injury report, he has not been the same fantasy start. We've seen this in recent years. But at the same time, now again, if it's a passing league, with passing stat bonuses, 300-yard games, passing touchdowns, length bonuses, then that makes Jimmy G 20 point per 20 passing yards, 5.6 point passing touchdowns. That does make Jimmy G a little better. I still think a healthy Kyler Murray is clearly ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo. So we may be playing Garoppolo over Murray in the next week, 2, maybe even 3. Hope for no aggravation when Kyler does decide to come back, or if he does come back today. But I still think Kyler gives you that upside. Max does mention that Kyler turns the ball over every week, and that's another factor here. If you got like -3 for turnovers, well, it tightens things up. Okay, let's see. Where do we go? All right. Diego asked about Pacheco or Toney. The odd thing about Kansas City, it just seems like they're not going to run the ball. They're not going to try to establish the run. If they ever did, Pacheco would be at least the first choice. He's the hard-running back there, but he also not the most subtle, doesn't have great vision. He just needs to slow down a little bit. Maybe that happens this year. I'm going to go with Toney today. Okay, moving right along. What's up, everybody? Ayuk or Palmer and a half PPR Mordenheim. In a half PPR, this absolutely leans it towards Ayuk. Again, with Palmer, I think he could catch 7, 8, 9 balls tonight. I also think the whole Chargers offense could be miserable. With Ayuk, you do have the passing game split even further with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey honestly should lead the team in targets from here on out. What does that mean if the 49ers can jump out and open up a league? Well, Brandon Ayuk might only have 2 for 29. He also have 3 for 80 and a touchdown. In a half PPR league, I'm going to take those chances. Ryan Adams, 75, Dallas, Arizona D. Dallas defense, if this game was in Arlington, I would be more inclined to go with them. It is up in Lambeau. It is Aaron Rodgers against Mike McCarthy. Arizona's defense, I don't know how we get there, but again, 4 DST touchdowns in the last 5 weeks, I believe. Another one last week. So I'm going to keep rolling the dice with Arizona here against a backup quarterback. All right. Let's move right along here. Fidel Amaro, since Kyler is likely out, Brissett or Heineke, and again, I think that's Brissett. And if you even need a little more nudge, Heineke's playing a really tough defense. Heineke's had a lot of plays that could have been bad that weren't. Those plays may turn out pretty bad against Philadelphia. All right. Moving right along, folks. Bougie, Pat Freiermuth or Tyler Higbee. Now, what Tyler Higbee, every Arizona game features a tight end that goes off, or at least, hey, for your Tommy Tremble, 3 for 34 is like going off, right? Whoever it was for Carolina that had that. However, Pat Freiermuth, I wouldn't be surprised, folks, if Freiermuth's top 5 tight end going forward. I think that you see Kenny Pickett look to him a lot in the middle of the field. Again, Chase Claypool, you are going to see more targets there for Freiermuth. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. So let's see what is going on. I love, by the way, the trivia going on in the chat room. See, you're here in the chat room, you're with football people, and they love exchange telling you what they know and enlightening and enhancing your experience of football. And yes, I'm Iron's Cat, one of my people in the chat room, talking about how they love Doc Ellis, even without the LSD. The LSD, look, if you don't know Doc Ellis, he allegedly, the legend goes, threw a no-hitter on LSD. That's the story. There's more to the story. There's a film, a documentary that actually, that's only like the 7th most interesting thing about Doc Ellis. And it's the Buccos. He was also part of a Buccos team there. I think they had the first all-black lineup. They don't think they even knew it until someone told them after the game. They had the first all-black lineup in MLB history. Love those 71. My first big purchase of some sort of sports clothing coming up in the 80s was the Cooperstown Collection 1970 mustard Pirates hat with in Roberto Clemente style. And I also got a Fred McGriff jersey, the Padres jersey. Yeah, he's up for the Hall of Fame this year. Let's get the crime dog in there. Yes, folks. Okay, Famous Mockingbird coming back around. I have heard Sanders and AJ Brown on the same team. It's been working well. Would it be a good idea to divest? I don't think so. Now, if you said Hurts, AJ Brown, and Smith, or Hurts, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert, and I also have Travis Kelce or something like that, I do think, and folks smarter than me that can run the numbers on this, is correlation, negative correlation, or positive correlation. Now, I would imagine there's probably a somewhat negative correlation between AJ Brown and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, or AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert, because you do have a limited passing pie. This isn't going to be a team that's truly going to air it out. And you are going to have 1 or 2 guys go off every week, but unlikely until Philadelphia meets their match, maybe against Dallas. Unlikely will you have all 3 of them go off. It's not that difficult to picture a game where Hurts to Brown stakes the Eagles to a lead, and then Miles Sanders gets 15, 17 carries, breaks a long touchdown, and all 3 of them, a game script that embraces all 3 of them can happen. So I'm okay with that. Now, I mean, I would understand. Here's not so much about divesting yourself from Miles Sanders because you're worried about having too many Eagles. However, Miles Sanders is about 40 carries from his career high in carries. So I'm standing for the idea that if you're asking Miles Sanders to really log 225, 250 carries in a season, well, we'll see. It's unproven whether that can handle. There's no reason to think he's going to break down. It isn't like Derrick Henry or he's been on the injury report. However, if you're just superstitious about that, and you can make a lateral move with Miles Sanders and Miles Sanders to Damian Pierce or something like that, or Miles Sanders plus something small, then I understand doing that to diversify. But loving being part of this Eagles offense, Eagles team. Okay. Superflex, Turbo Squid, Gimpy, Josh Allen, Derek Carr, or Aaron Rodgers. Remembering our veterans. And hey, everybody out there who served, yes, thank you. Josh Allen, yeah. Aaron Rodgers, again, it's kind of like, where's the fear of missing out here? What has Derek Carr done lately? If anything, Josh McDaniels is undermining our confidence in this offense with Devontae Adams criticizing him publicly. Aaron Rodgers, back at home, with just you come into a gunfight with a knife and a fork. He doesn't have with weapons. I think it's still Josh Allen. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little sniffly this morning. Michael Vidal, Foster Moreau, Brock Wright. It's Foster Moreau. Brock Wright, we saw him in the big unveil as the starter with TJ Hawkinson hurt last week. And no, it didn't work out. Actually, it was James Mitchell with the touchdown last week. All right. Where were we? Hokey 3548 asks, do you think Clyde Edwards-Helaire benefits if Jerick McKinnon is out? You would think so, because Isaiah Pacheco is not a passing down back. So if we hear that McKinnon is out for the 1 p.m. Eastern starts, Clyde Edwards-Helaire would move up to at least a what the heck flex. I don't think he's someone you play if all three backs are active at this point, unless you're just looking at him as a desperation play. That being said, if someone said McKinnon's out, do I put in Edwards-Helaire over, say, Khalil Herbert? I mean, we're rolling the dice on either guy. Khalil Herbert has done more recently. Give me 1 second here. Gotta get my power source plugged in, because I don't want to go just tip on out without any kind of explanation. My poor computer goes, woo. 1 moment. There you go, live internet. All right. K1 asked Khalil Herbert or Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, that's Herbert. It may happen. So I pay Isaiah Pacheco's one of those players. We want to see it happen. There's a lot of things standing in his way, and he's another one of those players that I think you have on your bench. And I don't even know. Look, I don't know if Isaiah Pacheco is worth carrying over, say, Alexander Madison or an injury upside backup Elijah Mitchell. I think Isaiah Pacheco, there's just so many ifs. Kansas City has to commit to the run. He has to run with more vision and nuance. I don't know. I think it's Khalil Herbert this week, and again, I'm not sure how much value matures with Pacheco, and what the path is to that. Rice Cake Randy, sit one, Pittman, Pickens, or Palmer. I like that. Pick a pack of pickled peppers and put Pittman on the bench. I just think because it's Sam Ehlinger, it's because it could be a debacle of a football team. They wouldn't give the one play caller they had on staff, who had some experience, they wouldn't give him a raise or anything. No. Michael Vidal, the DPJ, Peoples Jones, that is, or Zay Jones. Zay Jones could be, in PPR league, Zay Jones could give you a nice cheap 10 or 12 points today, but Peoples Jones has that upside. By the way, while I've been talking, I think I'm trusting the chat room here, so don't take this to the bank. Sounds like Julio Jones and Leonard Fournette have scored, and it's a pretty good game. Tampa Bay coming back to life. All right, let's go on. And by the way, Adams asked about hitting the like button. Yeah, if you like what we're doing here, let's go ahead, comment, subscribe, stay to the end until the next video starts. I hear that's good for us, but really just even showing up and helping support football guys, all of you have in your own way, even just by cheering me up, by being here and making me feel relevant and important. Wes Booth, what's up, Wes? Yes, good to see you. Superflex, I wait for Stafford or just go with Pacheco. Ooh. Can you get a Walford? Can you get him McCoy? I guess wait for Stafford. I mean, I would hope that even in a super flex, there's something better than Pacheco. I don't think Stafford's going to play, though. We'll see. All right. Michael Badal asked Gabe Davis or Dulcet. Boy, oh boy. It might hit. Gabe Davis always might hit. Probably going to go with Greg Dulcis here. Another GD. GD. All right. K1 says he doesn't buy the LSD story. It doesn't matter whether he actually was on LSD. I think it's just a good story. How do I introduce this concept? As we're not off the rails part of start sit questions. Sometimes a story can be true, not because it's factual, but because it reveals something culturally about how it was in MLB at the time. So don't worry. Don't get hung up on whether when he was hanging out with his girlfriend, the doubleheader, and they called him and said, "You got to get up here and pitch." Don't get hung up on whether he actually was on LSD. Just let it sit in that would not have been that outlandish at that time in MLB. And that opens up the door to all the very interesting fun. Professional sports used to be an outpost for mavericks. Professional sports used to be an outpost for people who didn't want to have a real job. People like me. All right, folks. Oh, let's go on. And I think that in the Alus, the Alus were one of the greatest baseball families for sure. Moises was pretty good for the Pirates coming up. All right, got a few more questions here before we wind this up. Glenn Walker, Matt Collins, or AJ Dillon non PPR. I'm not going to answer AJ Dillon anymore. So I'm saying Matt Collins just because I'm so tired of saying AJ Dillon being wrong every single week. Who will be joining me on the couch this week? I usually pick, I'm not that highly organized. So I usually don't pick the couch guest except in a few exceptions until Monday. So if anybody has any suggestions, anybody you haven't seen on the couch that you'd like to see, let me know. All right, Vivek Morthy, Jimmy G or Danny Jones to replace Kyler, and which bench stash do you drop, Tyler Boyd or Chase Claypool? I think the bench stash you have to drop is Claypool, and Claypool should get more snaps and more involvement. And hey, Claypool could hit, but Tyler Boyd, at least for a couple more weeks, is going to be a top 2 target for Joe Burrow. And then you have Jimmy G or Danny Jones. Again, pass heavy stats, Garoppolo. Less heavy stats, 4-point pass touchdown, point per 25 pass yards. Maybe that's more Daniel Jones. In a total vacuum, I'd probably be more inclined to go with today, Jimmy Garoppolo. But I am excited to see what Daniel Jones is going to do coming out of the bye. All right. Music Geek asked Jared Goff or Daniel Dimes instead. It's that Detroit-Chicago game. I want to get a piece of that to go with Goff. Again, scoring system pending. And these are tight. Garoppolo, Jones, Goff, Jones. Trust your gut. I'm not going to talk you on anybody. Okay. Zach from Buffalo says, what's a bigger story? Diggs playing against his old team, James Cook against his brother. I mean, Diggs, I guess. I think the biggest story here is how does Josh Allen look? All right. Anything else? It's great, guy. I love seeing the chat room interacting too. It's one of the things that really makes my makes my heart light up is whenever I see all the wonderful interactions in the chat room. We're up to about almost up to live here, 2-3 minutes. David Wynn asked Kyron Williams or Darrell Henderson. That's Darrell Henderson. We'll see about Kyron Williams, not in the first week back. Let's see. Josh Raymer, what's up, Josh? Love you. Von Miller, Bobby Okereke in a big play IDP flex spot. I think it's Okereke. And I only say that because Von Miller could get a sack or two, of course, this week against Kirk Cousins. But I actually think this is going to be pretty tight, close to the best game. Man, Shaquille Leonard. Really? Don't take Shaquille Leonard from us, football gods. He's on IR again, so Okereke is going to be out there. Winding it up, Colin Hoffman, Curtis Samuel, or Matt Collins in full PPR. And I know people bring up Matt Collins. He had a big game when Hunter Renfrow was out earlier this year. The problem is that was before Josh Jacobs really got online. I think this Colts-Raiders game could be just a close to the best boring game. Also, the other problem is Josh McDaniels has really eroded any confidence we have in rational play calling or anything rational happening except maybe sticking with Josh Jacobs even when he shouldn't, like last week. So, Zach Robles, bring Mike Shope back. Yeah. Mike Shope's great. Let's see. Nine Hines be the next age. I know K1. I have a type. Well, the good thing is those of you who've been listening to me, consuming my content for a while, you know how to correct for me. It's like when your car is out of alignment. You know that if you take your hands off the wheel, I want to pull you in a direction maybe you shouldn't. So keep your hands on the wheel. Brian asked with your Hertz and Fields. Answer this one earlier too. I think it's Hertz over Fields. I won't talk you out of Fields. And let's see. Full PPR. Oh, we haven't got a Jonathan Taylor question, or if we have it, so a minor one. CD Lamb. I think I got a Pollard or Taylor question earlier today on Twitter. CD Lamb over Jonathan Taylor. Let's see how Jonathan Taylor looks. Let's see how this offense looks. Lots and lots of uncertainty. All right. And I've got some other good, and the folks, some of the people you're all asking about, I would love to get on the couch, but a lot of my peers are so busy during the season that they just can't make an hour. All right. Well, folks, this was fun. And I didn't lose my voice. And Swami McGee, the last thing he puts out there, hey, if you got an extra spot at the end of your bench for Kenny Galladay, a new attitude. I've got a new attitude. That Pointer Sisters. That's Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay, who was just going to accept his money and go out kind of ignominiously. Now it's like, this looks like fun, guys. Maybe that's part of how Daniel Jones ends up being a good play. And Chris Baines, about Khalil Herbert or Naeem Hines. It's Khalil Herbert. We'll see about Naeem Hines. I still have some hope for him. And again, Swami McGee pointing out that Adam Schefter made it clear that Josh Allen might be only a backup. Okay, so you'll find out. You'll know. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you have a great Sunday. Hope you're enjoying the game in Germany. And always enjoy the time we get to spend together. Cecil Lammy and I will be back at the end of the early games to recap the action, give you all of our thoughts. Of course, we'll be back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the waiver wire show and the previews. We'll be back Thursday night. And of course, you have so many great hosts, so much great content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check everything out. Always give us any feedback, anything we can do to help you. You are the very best folks because you are always so very classy.